From September 12th, a shocking new supermarket rule comes into force. Without a government-issued photo ID, you will not be allowed to enter any supermarket in the UK, even for basic essentials like bread or milk. Officials claim it's to stop shoplifting and fraud, but critics say it will destroy daily life for millions. This means teenagers, pensioners without passports, and anyone who's simply forgotten their wallet could be turned away at the door. Supermarkets will have staff at entrances checking IDs, and shoppers say this feels like airport-style security just to buy food. Campaigners warn it's the start of a two-tier shopping system that could permanently change the way Britain shops and eats. And here's the worst part. Fail the ID check once and you could be banned from that store for a month. Many are now asking, is this really about safety, or is it the beginning of a stricter control system, quietly reshaping how ordinary people live, move, shop, budget, and survive in Britain today?
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to start in the UK and it's going to spread to all over the world, including America, which is Babylon the Great. This is very real. This is happening right now. If you don't know, in the UK, effective, I believe, last month of August, all platforms or social medias in the UK require ID. They had it under the guise of age verification, which, if you understand, then you know there's just control. They call it now age verification, but back in 2021, they said it's time to end online anonymity, meaning they want to punish people for saying things that they're saying. But today they said this is for age verification to verify that you're not a child. It's all a lie. This is a goal for the control, to establish the image of the beast, to eventually establish the mark of the beast. So now they're starting with IDs. Eventually it's going to be digital currency. Okay. Another video I saw, and a lot of activity going on today, especially with the killings, as well as that Charlie Kirk he also got shot, and then there was also another stabbing. So it's a lot of activity is going on, and we're gonna be covering it, especially paying attention to the news to see where this is gonna lead. But definitely it's gonna lead to lockdowns. It's gonna lead to stricter enforcement of rules, regulations, martial law, things of this nature, which is why we tell people that the party is over. When this devil's about to come down, he's about to bring lockdowns. Nations are getting roused up. Esau is getting roused up. Jacob is getting roused up. The nations are divided against each other. America's divided amongst each other. So Trump, in response, because he wants control, he's going to bring the hammer. He's going to bring the order. And he doesn't care if such said city or whatever doesn't have chaos or the crime is low. He doesn't care, because if need be, he will create the problem. They will create it to bring it forth. Okay, you got to know what times you're living in. You got to know what the devil is up to. You got to know his agenda, and if you know his agenda, then you know that he seeks to bring it about by force. He doesn't need an actual valid excuse. He will take whatever he can get, and if need be, he will create the issue. What do you think every war that was ever started was all about? It was a lie that was started because they coveted something after that land or that government, so they created a lie to justify going over there to attack. Okay, so it is coming right now, but I wanted to at least bring all this out before, lest I forget, because this is also big news too. Because, in the midst of all of this, you got to keep your eyes on the news, because this is a perfect time for the Edomites to pass bills or pass laws, and it'll go right under people's noses simply because the headlines is the killings. You see, But this video was put up, is titled "Scan Your Face or We Will Delete Your Account." Again, this is regarding the UK. Giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah Ba'Shem HaRachakodash. Saying double honors to our apostles and elders to a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully led.
Lots of videos on YouTube showing how to bypass online age verification just by using some game character's face. I hate to say this, but they aren't that stupid. They know how you bypass their control system. They let you bypass it for now. But once this spreads to other countries, which is very likely to happen because Europe is pushing for this as well, they will make it impossible to bypass. For example, this person uses the face of another individual who is in fact an adult, but it turns out their verification system is smart enough to detect that she's trying to trick the system. Bypassing this won't be an option for long. The best you can do is find alternatives and stop using any service that wants to scan your face. Big Tech and the governments don't want you using alternatives because it hurts their business model.
Right. This is what's happening in the UK is very real. See?
Union is preparing to mandate all member states to push age verification and face scanning everywhere in Europe. But let's be honest.
And you got to remember, NATO is a part of the beast. Okay. The beast is NATO and the EU. Right? And there's America, which is the whore that sits on the beast.
Nexus Mods has been going to shit since a while already. It's said that the most popular modding website bans people for creating mods that remove pronouns from games. This is what happens when ideology overtakes common sense. It's also worth noting that Russia is now forcing a state-controlled messenger app on all new phones in the country. But as a European, I'm particularly worried about Europe because we're supposed to be a democracy, but now the EU has developed its own state-level app to not only verify your age, but also use it for online transactions regarding the digital euro, which is set to launch very soon. Needless to say that any person using the digital euro will entirely give up their financial privacy, making them a puppet of the state. And all this is happening while the EU bans other cryptocurrencies like the privacy coin Monero, and at the same time keeps enforcing lower limits on how much cash you're allowed to spend in transactions. It's also important to know that the original paper of the digital euro said it would replace cash. There is another topic I want to talk about. Portmaster is a must-have for any Windows.
So it's moving fast in the UK. They will create issues to result in what it is that they want, which is that they want a centralized system for ID, for your money, for everything, for what? Complete control. And it's always the guise of trying to help or save the planet, humanitarian aid, protecting children, protecting kids, safety, whatever it is, but really it's just more and more control. If there is alternatives to people like cash or any other digital currency, they will use means by sabotage to eliminate those options so that there can only be one option. That is why there's the push for lab-grown meat. And you hear these stories about chicken farms burning down, lands burning down, trains being derailed, polluting water supplies. Why? Because if he puts lab-grown meat on the shelf and it's sitting right next to that beef, right, or that chicken that's 100%. I mean, it's not even 100%, but if they're labeled, one is labeled lab grown, the other one is just labeled chicken, that lab grown meat would never get picked. So they say, well, then we'll just eliminate the other option. We'll create a demand for food, and the only option you'll have is to use the food that we give. This is what they do. So when it comes to bringing that microchip, right, they're going to create the demand. But first, it needs a system, it needs infrastructure, it needs to have a system already established, right? So that when they bring that chip, they could say, hey, look, everything will transfer right on over. It's an easy process. You come in, you're in and out, and the next thing you know, everything's on there. We already got your ID. We already got your all these things, and the stores have changed and the banks changed the regulations. So now you can go in there and all you got to do is show your microchip. It's an acceptable form of ID, things of that nature. This is what they're doing, and they're doing it fast. And as you can see, it's basically already live in the UK. It's already live in the UK, basically. Okay, the ID as well. Look, they're talking about banning people from a store unless they can show their digital ID or show their ID. And then eventually it's going to be digital, and then eventually it's going to be the digital currency. And the end of this video, he just goes on to explain how he can protest it and write a letter or send a petition to your local governor, or so he believes in the masses and how we could they can overchange the outcome. They just have to stick together, but there's no stopping it. You want to know why? Because it's all biblical prophecy. And like we've been saying, like I personally been saying, like all this stuff is happening so fast, right? And it almost seems a little too perfect. That's what people raising the question, because this is giving them exactly what they want to do what they want. But again, we know who we're dealing with. So whether it is not real or it is, even if it is, and they committed these sacrifices and their duty, whatever it is, this man will do it to achieve what it is that he wants. Okay. So if he wants a police state in control and he's already rolling out the National Guard, and it just so happened you getting all these vicious killings being recorded live, giving him the perfect scenario to come in and say, this is why I'm going to do this. And, because he has to move on the hearts of the people, right? So that you all can let your guard down. This is how he moves. This is how he operates. So now people will be begging for security to be on the block for National Guard. And the next thing you know is now a part of your daily life, because now the National Guard is there to stay. This is how they get you. They're going to create, when they go to roll out those chips, the microchip, they're going to create situations where children go missing and, whatever stories they got to make to bring in the need, the desire for control, for to be monitored, for people to be monitored, or whatever it is they want to do. They're going to do it. What you need to know is that in the Bible, the men of the ancient already saw and they wrote them down. The Lord already revealed to us everything that the devil is seeking to do. He's seeking to establish a new world order, which is the image of the beast, which goes back to the Roman Empire system of complete control, to establish a mark. And that mark, which is going to be that microchip, establish him as your God forever. And he has you as a complete control forever. That's what this is all about. And the point is that when we talk about, say, like other Israelite groups setting up debates and, all these festivals, like even the point that I always made is I said, what they don't realize is they simply just do not have the time that they think that they have. They don't know what time they're living in. You guys reinventing themselves to make themselves leaders of this group, that group. And they think that they got a bright future ahead and they're planning this and they're planning that. They don't know. They don't even realize they don't have the time that they think that they have. All right. Time is short, and time is on our side, as in the believers of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And time is not on the side of Esau, Edom, and anybody that's tied into him or joined into him. So if Esau knows that his time is short, he's going to move fast. Which means if you aren't, in tune with the prophecies and seeing what's going on, you liable to fall victim out there to the changes because you didn't take heed to the warnings, but you call yourself a believer. You see, the bottom line is, look, if your focus isn't prophecy, okay, because you got a lot of community Israelites out there. If your focus isn't prophecy, that day is going to overtake you as a thief, because you don't understand, or you refuse to accept. You simply just do not have the time that you think you do. Right? He's moving fast. Okay. And you got Israelite groups in the UK. So what counsel are you going to give them? Revelation 13. Go right to the point. Verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And the scripture tell you that the devil, he uses lying wonders, deceivableness. This is how he uses the power to give life to the image, to give life to the image of complete control. They will cause the chaos, create the chaos to offer the solution. This is how he brings it in motion, by working off the emotions of the people, getting you upset, getting you to shed tears, getting your emotions. So when they offer the solution, which is you giving up your privacy and your, people will just surrender to it. That's how this man operates. Verse 16, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So he's moving fast, starting in the UK. It's going to start with the ID, then eventually it's going to be the digital currency, and eventually it's going to come over here to the land of America. So with that, shalom.